Ladies and gentlemen, this is a little program we call Two-Way Tonight, and I'm Mark Halperin. Couldn't be happier to see you here on this auspicious evening. The president yesterday, in an interview with Politico, Dasha Burns, gave his letter grade on the economy A plus 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 plus. I think I have the right number of pluses, but you get the point. We mentioned that on the morning meeting, and you think about Donald Trump, any other president with an economic mood of the country is as sour as a sweet tart. Are they sour? Even though they're called sweet tarts, I think they are. If a president said that, if Joe Biden had said that, it'd be a massive firestorm. And to some extent, it's become one. But for whatever reason, Donald Trump plays by different rules. So uh, Republicans are not embracing A plus 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 plus, but they're not saying the president's out of touch. Democrats are, though. And so we're on the precipice of his event in Pennsylvania this evening, so scheduled to start in the hour in which we are convening. And it's going to be interesting to see how he frames the economy because A plus 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 is not on message with what Caroline Levitt and others have said. Certainly, it's a three stepper. It's a Queen's three step. We've done a lot, better than Biden. We've got more work to do, right? That's the point of it. And right now, all three cable news networks, are teasing the event live. We'll see if they take it. That'll be interesting. With us tonight, two. I mean, I don't know where they rank in Mensa, but two geniuses, at least by my calipers, my calipers, they're geniuses. Matt Whitlock, Republican, and Michael LaRosa, Democrat. They've both been here before, and they're very wise men. Not from Bethlehem, but still wise. And they'll be here in just a moment. And then, of course, before too long, we'll be taking your questions. If you're here on the two-way platform, want to be in on the conversation, we couldn't be more pleased to have you be part of it. So please raise your hand if you'd like to ask Matt and Michael a question or make a comment. And if you're watching on X or on YouTube, you have an extraordinary opportunity to participate on those platforms too by writing in what's called the chat. And when you do, before you put pen to paper, electronic pen to electronic paper, think, would Mark want me to put smack in here? And if you think carefully, and you remember my haunting words about peace, love, and understanding, the presumption of grace to all, you won't even be tempted to put smack in there. But man, has there been a lot of smack lately. Personal attacks, vituperative personal attacks on members of the two-way community, on guest hosts on the morning meeting, just the nastiest stuff you can imagine. And I can't imagine why it happens, except, again, I'd urge you not to. So, in a moment, we'll talk about the following stories as we wait for the president's event in Pennsylvania to begin. What are we going to talk about? First of all, developments in the case of the missing video. That's what Encyclopedia Brown called it. This is the case of the so-called second tap, and some interesting developments on that front, including a very angry Chuck Schumer. When people in Brooklyn get angry, it's like Bruce Banner. There's a lot of anger. I don't know why, but there is. More on the Ukraine war, and again, a lot of fallout from the president's interview. Interesting developments involving two potential 2028 presidential candidates, both from California, both of whom pretend to be close personal friends with each other. Did I say pretend? Yes, I did. Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, the New York Times, with a long piece about Kamala Harris's book tour and how she's thinking about things, and she gave the Times a big long interview. And then Gavin Newsom made a video. You won't believe it. When you see it, you'll say, wow, how come I didn't hear about that video anywhere else? Maybe you did, but I hadn't until it was just brought to my attention. And just a ton of fallout on the president's interview with Politico, even though it posted this morning. People are still picking over it. We'll get to as much of that as we can. So all that and more, I always love to say and more because that's a TV convention, coming up in just a moment here on Two-Way Tonight. I'm just looking to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah, that's about it. So a quick word from one of our sponsors, and then our guests will be here, and we'll start running through the stories. Cozy Earth. You could buy Cozy Earth products for yourself. You could buy them for gifts. I recommend you do both. The stuff from Cozy Earth is extraordinary. I have it all over my home. The towels in my bathroom, the blankets and sheets on my bed, and of course the pants on my whatever. Recommend them to you. They're the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. I wear them all the time. As I said, you can wear them to the beach, to the laundry room, and to a gala, and everybody will just say, man, those pants are nice. All of the products of Cozy Earth available to you now for an extraordinary 40% off. I'm not saying they're free, but round up, that's practically free. 40% off. Go to cozyearth.com. Use the promo code TWOWAY for 40% off the bubble cuddle blanket, the towels, the sheets, everything available to you. 40% off. Buy them for yourselves. Buy them for gifts. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays and carries into the cozy new year. That's what the copy says, cozy new year. I would say cozy, cozy new year. Thank you for your attention to that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the returning champion with 1,200 points, Matt Whitlock. Matt Whitlock, welcome back to Two Way. Thank you for returning.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, Matt Whitlock has an extraordinary podcast, which you've never listened to it. Outside of what would be an example of the Joe Rogan show. Matt Whitlock has the most aptly named podcast of all time. Matt, tell everybody the name of your podcast, where and how they can listen.
It is the 10-minute drill. It is a 10-minute political update. It comes generally Tuesdays and Thursdays, but occasionally Wednesday. And you can get it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. 10-minute drill, the number 10, and you'll find it.
Amazing. And you do it by yourself?
I do it by myself. Occasionally I'll have a guest come on to talk about any particular wonky issue, but mostly it's just quick hits, usually about 2 minutes on a topic, and we'll get through 4 or 5 big topics a day.
If you wanted to do a show on first ladies and Anthony Sforza, is that the guy's name? What's that guy's name, Michael? Michael, unmute. What's the name of that historian who pretends he knows more about first ladies than anybody? Is that
Carl Anthony Sferrazza.
That guy, yeah. If he's not available, if you want to do a show on first ladies and he's not available, Michael's your guy.
Newly appointed member of the National First Ladies Library and Historic Museum. National Park.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else is on that?
Anita McBride, I think, is on that.
I like her. She's very nice.
Lindsay Reynolds.
I don't know who that is.
She was Melania Trump's first chief of staff.
Huh.
And then a lot of historians who you might not.
Okay. And
I think Andrea Mitchell's actually on it as well.
Andrea Mitchell.
Yeah.
In the first Clinton administration, they formed. The White House press staff had just deluged with requests for meetings with cabinet members and the first lady and the president, and so they asked us to form small groups, which they called tongs, which is like a Chinese word, to meet with people, right? So it'd be like 6 of us, and you'd say, okay, you can have lunch with Ron Brown, or you can have dinner with whatever. And Andrea was in my tong, and we had lunch with the first lady at the Hay Adams, and that's the teaser. Read my memoirs to find out what happened next. Gentlemen,
fancy.
Let's start with the president. Matt, what do you think of the president rating the economy in an interview with Politico and the eve of his big economic speech? A plus 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 plus. Good idea, bad idea? What's the logic there?
I think it's a not a great idea, in part because I think one thing that really swept him into office was being a response to Joe Biden not sounding like he was compassionate enough about people's suffering or experience with the economy. But I do think it's good that he's getting out there. It's good that he's going on the road. He's got to balance both telling people about things that he's done that have been successful or are going to be successful, because you have to bookmark these wins when people do their tax returns, seeing benefits they're getting. Scott Bessent's been trying to tell people you're getting big returns in 2026 all year long. And so having that happen so that people, when they do the returns, they see positive things, but also being able to say, we're being creative on policy. We are looking at ways to fix the broken healthcare system and fix what he'll say, the mess that the Democrats left behind. And so there is a balancing act there.
All right, Michael, hold on. Watch Matt's face carefully. Matt, I want to try one more time. You're staffing the president for the political interview. You're like the White House comms person in the interview, and you're a little bit off camera. I mean, you're off camera. You're a little bit. You're not in the president's line of sight. Ready? I'll be the president. I'll play Dasha and the president with finger puppets. You be you, and you're staffing it, right? So you're just listening and watching the interview. Mr. President, how would you rate the economy? Well, first I'm going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, blah, 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 blah. Mr. President, I wondered again, what letter grade would you give yourself? And he says, A plus 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 plus. What face do you make? No, that's not the face you make. Yeah, that's more like the face you make. Michael, you have sympathy for not just Matt, but Senator McCormick and the woman in Pennsylvania who's running for governor. Like, they can't say the president screwed up, but how will your party take? I mean, Governor Shapiro gave in a statement to Politico about it. How much will this resonate? We saw the other day when the president said affordability was a scam and a hoax. People said, well, that's going to be in 1 million Democratic ads. I wasn't so sure, but this will be in 1 million Democratic ads, right?
Yeah, it sounds like he's caught a bit of the Biden flu. Really disconnected or disassociated from how people feel. All you have to do is look at the Wall Street Journal today, or yesterday and today, talked about consumer sentiment really low. A lot of these companies um, got in on their inventory before the tariffs, so people have been buying things through the holidays, but they're all sending these signal flares like, just wait and see what happens in January. Just wait and see. Because the cost of goods are just going to skyrocket because of the tariffs. And I think he could have had a decent argument about Biden inheriting a Biden inflation. The unfortunate thing for him is he tried to revamp the entire economy by starting a global trade war. And if you look at that recent CBS poll, the worst number for him, or like the most troubling number, was more about that people think he's doing more harm than good to the economy and cost of living. And I think that's gonna hurt him. I mean, now they're just bailing out farmers because of the tariffs. It's hard to see how the tariffs, how he can make as somebody in the Biden White House said to the First Lady, I can't make an economic case for that. It's hard to see how he can make an economic case for why the tariffs are working right now.
Scott Besson is warming up the crowd. We'll hopefully have a little bit of that in just a moment. Stand by. Let's talk about while we wait for the president. Let's talk about. Sorry, I'm multitasking. Give me a moment. Uh, let's talk about the what do you call that thing? The video of the second tap. So Admiral Halsey has been relieved of his command. He's retiring, quote unquote, on Friday. And today, according to the Washington Post, Sam, this is number one. He spoke to members of the Senate, I believe. It's the House of the Senate. Let's see if this says. It's a Washington Post headline. Admiral pushed out by Hegseth meets privately with lawmakers. Admiral Alvin Halsey, who oversees military operations in Latin America, had voiced concern about the activities there. There's been reports that he did not like the operation and thought it was not necessarily legally justified, and that perhaps his counsel, who he worked with, thought the same thing. Again, I've said for several days, watch Halsey and Halsey's lawyer, and watch Senator Wicker. I don't know, maybe we'll start having a countdown clock. The powerful chairman of the Powerful Armed Services Committee has not said a word. Matt Whitlock, you're an expert in the Senate. You used to work there. What do you think the chatter is amongst Republican senators? Tom Cotton spoken out, Lindsey Graham, many leading figures in the national security side of the Senate Republican conference have said things. What are Republican senators, what would they be saying? Why is Chairman Wicker being quiet? What would the answer be?
I think that there are some Republicans who feel like this is a trap that Democrats are walking into to defend narco terrorists. But I also think that Wicker is quiet because Wicker wants to get a lot more information before he speaks too definitively. And if I were advising the White House, I would say give as much information as possible, be as transparent as you can possibly be, because the facts that they have laid out since this first blew up and since everyone in the media started calling for war crime investigations, things like that, a lot of the details that have come out have helped their story. And so the question is, why not get more of that out there more quickly? When you look at the first story that came out that said this was they basically set the table for the war crime conversation. Then the fact that the New York Times story and then an ABC piece of coverage the next day each had mitigating details from that initial bombshell makes you wonder, what else can the White House share on this that might help the situation further, and what's kind of slowing that down? A part of it is just the Pentagon has a very hostile posture to most of the media, and they might feel that that's very justified. But in this case, opening up the kimono and showing a lot more of their facts could in a lot of ways help them and help them with those Republicans who are holding their fire.
Yeah. Michael, do you think the White House Legislative Affairs Office knows exactly what's going on with Senator Wicker? Or do you think he's closed kimono with them as he is with the public and his constituents?
Not so much them, more like is James Blair calling up Senator Wicker's chief of staff kind of thing, probably.
But so you think he's called, but you think that the Wicker shop is going to tell him, "Hey, here's what's going on"?
I don't know. It's hard. Not my clowns, not my circus.
But I'm saying just in general how White Houses operate.
Yes.
They'd be calling and trying to find out. But would it be weird? And Matt, you can jump in because it is your tribe, your circus.
My clowns.
Would it be? It's your clowns. Would it be weird for the chief of staff to a senator who's a powerful chairman who, if he came out right now and said, "I've examined the facts and Pete Hegseth should resign," that'd be a big thing, right?
It would not be weird. It would not be weird.
It'd not be weird for the chief of staff to say, "Hey, we're looking at it. Can't tell you anymore." That'd be normal.
No, that wouldn't be weird.
That would or wouldn't.
That wouldn't be weird. I mean, I would think. I mean, a chief of staff like Ron Klain had very good relationships with senators, so he would be usually calling the senator themselves.
Right.
But
I'll just tell you, I don't know Wicker particularly well, but my sense is from watching everything and talking to people, because I've asked people at the White House, what's up with Senator Wicker? I don't think they know. I don't think they know, and I think that's purposeful. Let's show you Senator Schumer. Again, I said at the top of the show, he's as angry as a nest full of hornets at Coney Island with somebody threw a Nathan's hot dog at. Horrible metaphor, but you get my point. Here's Senator Schumer, very angry about Pete Hegseth. Number 2, please.
Now, finally, this afternoon, Secretaries Hegseth and Rubio and top officials will brief the Gang of Eight, and I'll be there. I plan to confront Secretary Hegseth on exactly what the hell is going on in the Caribbean. I plan to demand Secretary Hegseth give the total, unedited videos of what happened in the September 2nd boat strikes. Trump originally agreed to do this, but now they're afraid. What's Hegseth hiding? And second, I will demand of Rubio and Hegseth what the hell is going on in the Caribbean and in Venezuela. What are their plans? How far do they plan to go? Trump has already talked about Venezuela waters and even going attacking Venezuela on land. How far do they intend to go?
Okay,
and when
Trump says like that, I want to leave this topic and go back to the economy because one of the things we haven't seen much of is Scott Bessent as a surrogate, right? Scott Bessent as a explainer-in-chief on the economy. He's got great credibility with people across the park from me, the Upper East Side. They love the guy, and people have said maybe Scott Bessent will run for president someday, right? So here's Scott Bessent on the stump at a casino in Pennsylvania tonight, warming up for the president. And if he's good, presumably he'll be out maybe by himself, not just warming up for the president as a midterm year billionaire surrogate. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen, billionaire populist Scott Bessent explaining that good times are right around the corner.
Result of deficit spending alone. But where Biden created scarcity, President Trump is creating abundance.
Either of you have a pen, I'd like you to drop it.
Efforts on deregulation, America's businesses are able to build and innovate again. Thanks to his one big beautiful bill, Americans are taking home more of their hard-earned income as a result of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and deductibility of auto loans for American-made cars. American-made cars.
Notice the repeat, American-made cars, repeated the line, milk the applause,
heroic efforts
let the applause dry down.
Trillions of dollars in new investment have flowed into the United States, and our workers are finally able to compete on an even playing field.
All right, that's enough of that. While we talk, gentlemen, we're going to look at some video of the president arriving in Pennsylvania. Michael, how would you rate? Let's say 0 would be. I hate to keep picking on poor Dick Lugar, but 0 would. Here's the president arriving in Pennsylvania. 0 would be Dick Lugar, and 10 would be Barack Obama at the 2004 convention. Where would you rate? Candidate Bessent?
We shouldn't put words in his mouth. We don't know if he's a candidate, but he is surrogate.
I mean. That's in air quotes. How would you rate his performance skills? Just in that little bit.
I think Secretary Bessent.
0. I want a number. 0 is 0 is, let's say, Arlen Specter.
For a rally, I would say a 5.
A 5. Okay, that's
but
very high.
I think he's a 10 as a surrogate in an interview situation.
Understood. Matt Whitlock.
Yep. I'd say, yeah, I'd give him a 6 on the stump, but again, 10 in media. And those things don't always translate, but you could tell he was warming up. And when he dropped that America line, as you flagged, he heard the applause and he realized there's some soft spots to get the crowd more engaged. So he could do more of these and get better.
You're
You got-
curious.
you-
This
you're
is where
the-
I'm from. I used to compete against Pocono Mountain in swimming.
Yeah.
It's part of the Lehigh, right north of the Lehigh Valley where I'm from.
Understood.
I'm interested to see how they receive Secretary Besson up there in Northeast
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Not since my son's kindergarten teacher have I seen such generous grading as you two just gave. All right, while we wait for the president, and he may be here any minute, we'll listen to a little bit. Let's skip around because I don't want to miss some of the better stuff. There's a lot going on. President more comments on Zelensky, but didn't really move the ball. Here's the New York Times story on Kamala Harris. And again, if you're the least bit interested in Kamala Harris, I recommend it to you. Number 9, Sam. Very long piece, interview. Interviewed a lot of the people who worked for the former vice president. And here's a pull quote from the story. People are showing up for her. They're paying to see her. Thousands of people are coming to hear my voice. Thousands and thousands, she said. Every place we've gone has been sold out. The question is what she wants to say. A couple things from the piece are interesting. They say she sold 600,000 books. Not a surprise because it was a huge bestseller. But that's a lot of books, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you, that's a lot of books. So that's interesting because it didn't get very good coverage, but she's sold out all her events. Interesting thing in the story I didn't realize. I knew there was a big overlap between her staff and Gavin Newsom's staff, but they run through some of the things, some of the people who've done stuff for Newsom who used to work for her. It's a huge list. Like his current chief of staff is a Harris person. The person who ran the Proposition 50 campaign was a Harris person. A couple others. Interesting. And then she's asked about Gavin Newsom, and it's semi-charitable, but not fully charitable, because I can tell you, let's say, friendly rivalry between them. Speaking of so read the story. It's very good. Sneak behind the paywall if you don't subscribe. Speaking of Gavin Newsom, here's a new video. I hadn't seen it. Maybe you have. Watch how highly produced it is, talking about his forthcoming autobiography. This is number 10, please.
This is not the book you'd expect me to write. It's a story about the people that, for, well, better or worse, make us who we are, made me who I am. The hopes that drive us forward, the failures that send us reeling, and the immense burden of grief and regret.
This is the most
Nobody's
natural
family
delivery I've
is
ever heard.
easy. Nobody's story is tidy, and I'm no different. A lot of people look at me, the stark white shirt, the blue suit, and yeah, the gelled hair, and they think, oh, I know this guy. I know this guy better than I'd ever want to know him. I get it. This is a story of a kid who always felt like he wasn't quite enough. This is a truly vulnerable book. It was incredibly hard, even painful to write. It's a story about living between two worlds, one of wealth and privilege and the other of more modest upbringing, the outsider on the inside, the interloper who learned to feel comfortable in many rooms. It's a story of the personas we create to face the world around us, the story of self-doubt and, yes, ambition. It's a story of the people, the relatives, the immediate and ancestral, the neighbors, the childhood friends, even the bullies, who over time fade in the background of our memories, but are so critical in shaping us and pushing us to, well, the next step, even when sometimes we have no clue what the next step is or where it's leading. I hope that whatever your opinions of me are, the openness, the honesty I felt in writing this and living it will resonate. A rawness that perhaps equal parts revelatory and contradictory, adapting to my dyslexia, starting and growing my own small businesses, fighting and winning political battles for same-sex marriage and against the NRA, always striving, if not sometimes succeeding, to be a present father that my kids deserve. And yet, there are those public and private moments that I'll always regret. Bernard DeVoto, an historian of the American West, wrote that Californians are the children of paradox and the begetters
this is a
of
video.
paradox. And that seems, well, just about right to me. I wrote this book in no small part as a gift to my kids, that it might one day help them understand the paradoxes that shape their upbringing and are bound to shape their children who will come after, in all of its messiness, its heartbreak, and its fundamental optimism about the power of family and community. This is a story I hope a lot of readers will connect with and relate to. Like I said, it's definitely not the book you'd expect me to write, and it's a book that I'm extraordinarily excited to share.
So, showed the whole thing for a variety of reasons. And I'm going to say this, and you guys contradict me if you want. All three of us have seen a ton of political videos in our career, including produced ones. I've never seen anyone quite like that. Agree or disagree?
Well, meaning as a book advertisement, as a preview to a book, or as a political ad?
Well, just the tone of it and the self-consciousness of it, saying you all think I'm a phony.
Yeah.
And I wrote this book and I'm going to prove to you I'm not a phony. And now I'm going to narrate it with music and language that will reinforce your view of me as a phony.
Okay, in that sense, yes.
I thought the
I agree with that.
The production quality was fantastic.
Fantastic.
It was powerful.
Hollywood level.
It was powerful. I also liked the fact that, okay, he's reading a script, but he is like sort of quasi emoting, There is a little bit of naturalness there that he feels comfortable going off the script a little bit. You could tell he wasn't like Biden reading to the country.
100%. But Michael,
yeah.
I agree with there are things about it again that are extraordinary. It's so well produced.
Yeah.
His performance level is sky high. Now again, remember folks, I take heat every day for how positive I am about Gavin Newsom's prospects of winning the nomination.
You're trying to be neutral and clinical.
Yeah. Well, you are. I am.
I am.
No, you are. You're doing a great job. But my point is, I'd say this with understanding of how many Americans in both parties and independents think the guy's a total phony. And he's so smart. It's so well produced. And I know, Matt, you agree with me on this because I can read your face like it's an open book. It just reinforces. I mean, anyone who thinks he's a phony is not going to be won over by that. To the contrary.
No, it was like a really shiny coat of paint on the shittiest used car you've ever driven in your life. Forgive my language there. But I do think, to your point, he's clearly trying to show that he can do some things different. He's trying to show authenticity. But like Kamala Harris, the harder you try to be authentic, the less authentic it is. And when he keeps on saying the word paradox, it reminded me of Kamala Harris with words like Venn diagram. It's like she learns a word and has got to say it 14 times to prove it. It just felt so phony to me. And I think that that will be one of the biggest things that harms him, is the fact that he's looking like a greasy politician out of central casting. And so I don't know how he would break out from that, but I do know, I think it was Joe Rogan that talked about how do you run on first destroying a city, then destroying a state. They're going to call him Governor U-Haul or Governor Poop Map or, whatever that might be.
Well, but let me just raise one thing. Both of you, brilliant. I mean, I couldn't be more pleased to have had you here by coincidence on the night we got this video. The music, it's great if you're making a movie.
It's like HBO did it.
But it's just slick. If you need music to reinforce your authenticity, I don't know. Maybe I'll go around the country like Jay Leno jaywalking with an iPad and show that video to 1,000 people and see if one person says, I feel better about how unslick he is after watching that and listening to the music.
But what I learned from Roger Ailes, I think I would say, is from reading his original book, and we'll see if Gavin can do this in the book. If he goes deep into what he's saying he's going to do, which is that people really root for vulnerability. Yeah. They root for that, the loss. If you can emote, if you can talk, if you can share your loss with somebody or your failures about maybe the failure of his first marriage or his dyslexia, all those things, his regrets in politics, like that time he ran against Jerry Brown, had to pull out, like all those things. If he can talk about those things in a candid way, and when he does the interview, I think that goes a long way.
I agree. And of course, there's nothing in the video about his record in California, right? It's all personal. But that's the book.
Pretty notable. Notable.
Except to be fair, the book's not about that. It's personal.
He's no Pete Wilson, the highest tax increase in California's history.
There you go. Raise your hand if you want in on the conversation. Gentlemen, remember moments ago on the program, we showed you midday Chuck Schumer furious and say, I'm going to hunt Pete Hegseth down and demand answers. Well, moments ago, Senator Schumer back in front of the microphones. Update. How did he do confronting Pete Hegseth? The gentleman from New York. Here he is.
Okay. It was a very unsatisfying briefing. I asked Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, would he let every member of Congress see the unedited videos of the September 2nd strike. His answer, we have to study it. Well, in my view, they've studied it long enough, and Congress ought to be able to see it. I told him that every member of Congress, so many members of Congress, Democrat and Republican, had a right to see it, wanted to see it, and should see it. In terms of Venezuela, I asked them what their strategy is and what they were doing. Again, did not get satisfying answers at all.
Thank you, Senator. Elon Musk said, this is being reported in various places, that Doge was, quote, only somewhat successful and he wouldn't do it again. That'll be a welcome soundbite from the White House, perhaps. Perhaps not. Probably not. All right, gentlemen, we're still waiting for the president. He is at the venue, so maybe we'll get a chance to dip in soon. Here he is earlier today. The one other thing we know he did today was he went to the Naval Observatory. You guys ever been to a vice presidential party at the Naval Observatory? Those are fun. No? Matt, we got to get you invited.
Not me. I know.
Invited. Here's the president yucking it up at J.D. Vance's place, number 12, please.
Glass ceiling, and then someday, perhaps not after the next couple of elections, but someday we'll have a woman break the glass ceiling. Hillary Clinton was going to do that. She took the convention center, which I was responsible for having built in New York, the Javits Convention Center. It was my deal.
All right, a couple pieces of news. A judge granted the Justice Department's request that, consistent with the legislation passed by Congress, that the Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury records be released. A number of MAGA influencers are urging, this is number 11, President Trump to block Netflix's attempt to purchase Warner Brothers over their ties to Barack Obama. Laura Loomer, this is the Washington Post headline, Laura Loomer and other right-wing media figures cast Netflix as a Democratic stronghold, it is, and want the government to block it from buying Warner Brothers Discovery. Next up, the new episode of Next Up is posted now. I talked to David Ignatius about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. But my reported monologue is on what Democrats and Republicans have told me in the last couple of days about the political implications of all of this and control of these giant, not just the content, but the distribution platforms and what this could mean, however this comes out. That's available to you now as a podcast or a video podcast on YouTube. And Michael, do you ever hear me brag on myself, as we say in Arkansas? Not very often.
Yeah, never.
Not very often. I'll brag on myself on this. Covering this story is complicated because it involves knowledge of government, not just politics, but government. It involves knowledge of media and involves knowledge of business. And I've covered all three in my career, and I'm a avid reader on all three. And I think what I find, part of why I did the monologue and all the reporting I did is I find the coverage wanting. I read stories about the Washington piece of it. They don't seem to really understand the business piece. And I read stories about the Hollywood angles, and they don't really understand the business side or the political side. So I recommend my own work to you and my interview with Joe Flint of the Wall Street Journal, who is a reporter who understands the whole thing, because we run through, again, all the implications. It's an incredible story, just an incredible story. Matt, how do you think it's going to come out? Who do you think will end up, if either of Netflix or Paramount, who do you think will end up with the prize of Warner Brothers?
It's tough to take a lot of the influencer messaging around it seriously, just because we've seen so much in the last year that you can buy and pay for a pretty aggressive influencer campaign. And I wonder how much that still resonates with President Trump. I do have concerns about the size of this deal, just, from an antitrust perspective, but it's, I think that we have a pretty aggressive FTC that wants to do their due diligence on this. Andrew Ferguson is a phenomenal chairman. I think that, they will ask all the right questions. And I don't know, I have a little bit of trouble seeing it go all the way through, just because the size, scope, and magnitude of it. Yeah. I think in the end, it probably will end up getting blocked or, shrunk to some degree, but, could go either way.
Yeah. Michael, who do you think will end up winning this thing?
Mark, I'm going to throw you for a loop, but since I'm coming to you from the Ballard Global headquarters, I have to say that...
do you have a client in this thing?
They are both clients. And
both clients. Both meaning...
They are both clients
Well,
of my firm.
okay. So there's Netflix, there's Warner Brothers, and there's
Oh, I'm
Paramount.
sorry, Netflix and Paramount.
Netflix and Paramount. Well, that's awkward.
Well, Comcast is the client,
Yeah.
Disney the client.
Yeah. At this point, Ballard is conflicted out of pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a good problem to have.
if I wanted to hire you, Michael, you go, how do you check conflicts? Do you go to some
My personal clients.
Yeah,
But
no, I understand. But
Yeah.
if someone comes to you and says, I work in the aerospace industry, we'd like to hire you. How do you know if there's a conflict? How does that work?
you have to check with any other aerospace industry client we have to see if
I know, but is there like a database? I'm just curious. I'm not prying here. I'm just wondering, like, how do firms like yours know if you got a conflict? Because you got so many partners and so many clients.
yeah, everything's publicly
Yeah.
available information. It's public that we like who my
Yeah.
firm represents.
Yeah,
So-
but how do you look it up? How do you literally? Do you just go to the public database, or is there some partner in the firm whose job it is to know where conflicts are?
Generally, people know, like,
Yeah.
let's say, for example, we have an airline and another airline wants to hire
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
If you're not advocating for the same thing, or if it's something
Yeah,
completely
sure.
different that doesn't affect either their bottom line,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
a conflict.
and again, don't speak about the particular case because you probably can't. But in general, now if a firm has two clients, because they're not in conflict, Netflix and you might be doing something for Netflix on whatever, and something for
Right.
right. But now, how does a firm adjudicate that if they ask for your help and they're both already clients? You have to do neither, or whoever asked first. In other words, if one of them comes to you and says, "We want you to, you're our best lobbyist. We want you to work on, this." How does that work in general?
Well, it depends. So if two companies in the same industry hire you, they might be hiring you for different reasons. And if then those two come into conflict, they can say, we want to keep you where you at, doing what you're doing for us already.
But if one of them asks you to work on it on a topic where they're in conflict, as in this case, can you do that? Again, you're any firm, not just yours. I'm just wondering how the ethics of that works.
No, you have. I mean, well,
You see
no.
what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I see what you're saying. But usually you can go back to one of the competitors and say, "Are you comfortable with us representing so and so and you at the same time?" And most of the time they're fine with it. Most of the time, it's not usually a big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
This is
Gentlemen, we're still waiting for the president. So I'm going to take the opportunity to sneak in a couple ads from our sponsors. Raise your hand if you want in on the conversation. And I'll ask you guys, Matt and Michael, how's your skin this time of year? A little dry, right? A little
Sure.
dry in
To help the ad, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dry.
Okay. All right. Dry. Your skin needs extra care this time of year. Mine's like a piece of peanut brittle. It's so brittle. The good folks from OS1, first ingredient OS1 peptide. It targets something then you called senescent cells, the root causes of wrinkles and loss of elasticity. Their science-first products like OS1 Face, Body, and Eye deliver hydration benefits, barrier support, powerful longevity, and they're certified safe for sensitive skin and free from over 1,500 harsh ingredients. OneSkin just launched their limited edition holiday sets, available to you now. Use the code TWOWAY at oneskin.co. Is it oneskin.co/2way? It says .co. oneskin.co/2way. Promo code 2way. 15% off everything. And a limited time. 15% off. After you purchase, I'll ask where you heard about them. Please say you heard about them right here. All right. One more. Our friends at Chef IQ. 30% off. Go to chefiq.com. Promo code 2way. 30% off. You want a thermometer, wireless thermometer. You just put it in your protein. Go to the app, log right in there, and then go have a hot toddy, have a mint julep, have whatever you want, because you don't need to hover over the oven. You can do what you want, and the app will tell you it's ready, or you need to turn it or take it out and let it sit. It'll do everything. This thing is like it's like all the technology of your iPhone right in a piece of ham or turkey or fish or whatever it is. Right now, for the hard to shop people on your list who love cooking, mom, dad, whoever it is, buy them something smart, useful, and makes cooking fun again. Get all your shopping done. Make this holiday the best yet. Buying Chef IQ's Black Friday sale opportunity. ChefIQ.com. Use the promo code 2way for 30% off. There's other stuff on there, but the core thing is the thermometer. ChefIQ.com. promo code two-way. Still waiting for the president. I'm watching cable news, and they're just showing the empty podium there. So let's talk a little bit more, gentlemen. This is let's see. Let's talk about Zelensky and the president. Here's number 4. Politico story got written up everywhere. Dasha Burns did a very good job. She had a long time with the president. She covered a lot of ground. Here's the Wall Street Journal write-up of the Politico interview. Trump pushes Ukraine to accept peace deal, saying it is losing. President says European leaders are weak and Russia holds the cards in any peace talks. Here is the president comparing Vladimir Zelensky to a certain famous figure whose initials are PT. Number 6, please.
He's a great salesman. I call him P.T. Barnum. You know who P.T. Barnum was, right?
I do.
One of the greatest on earth. He could sell any product at any time. That was his expression. I can sell any product at any time. It was true. He said, doesn't matter whether it works or not. But he's P.T. Barnum. You know, he got crooked Joe Biden to give him $350 billion. And look what it got. It got him about 25% of his country is missing.
Okay, Michael, does your firm represent the Ukrainian government? No. Okay, Matt, you first. If Zelensky was your client and you watched that video with him over like some secret video conferencing thing, and he said, Matt, what should I do?
Call Mark Rutte. I'd call Mark Rutte right away, the Secretary General of NATO, who's been the most effective person, being the sort of go-between Trump and everybody else. He has the perfect balance of flattery, but also making sure Europe is at the table. Whereas Macron and everybody else, not everybody else, but a lot of the other European leaders have not done a very good job of sort of balancing all of this out. I would go straight to Mark Rutte and say, how do we sort this out? And then I would work with the Secretary Rubio wing of this conversation, who has always been a little bit more, focused on ensuring Ukraine's interests weren't being steamrolled. A lot of this is, depending on who the president sort of spoke to last on the Russia issue. And there's a faction within the White House that want the war to end today for good reason, to stop the bloodshed. But there are concessions that they're putting in these peace plans for land that Russia hasn't even won yet. And so it's easy to see why Zelensky would be pushing back the way he is. So balancing all those equities there, I think Mark Rutte is important. I think Rubio is important. And I also think there's a lot of members of the Senate who have questions about this entire peace process. We saw the blow up 2 weeks ago when senators were told something was the Russian version of a peace deal, and then they had to sort of clean up and say, actually, this is something that the administration had involvement in. And now we're still a little bit unclear on all of that. And so I don't know whether it's getting European leaders to come fly back to the Oval Office very quickly to have the meeting like they had a few months ago or what, but I know that Zelensky right now, is feeling on uneven ground for very good reason. And they need to sort of figure out how to get back to where they were when President Trump first started saying, I'm getting a little sick of Putin, who's never agreed to anything. Putin hasn't changed anything he's been doing since President Trump first lost patience with him. So what shifted for the president between now and then, and how can they sort of address that?
Matt, that was brilliant. Michael, I don't even know if you want to weigh in after that brilliance.
Not really. I don't know what's in his crawl lately about Ukraine, but that seems to be, Matt described it extremely well. It's whoever has been in his ear last. I mean, he conveniently leaves out the fact that he continued Obama's policy of supplying the Ukrainians his entire first term, and trying to bribe them got him impeached, but he supplied them with weapons the entire time as well. This is not just Biden's war.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. All right.
No,
just on Pennsylvania, 3 things. Then we're going to go to our correspondent there, community member Robert, who's on the floor. The president, I'm told, is not even off Marine One, or at least he wasn't moments ago. And if you want message discipline, if you want the media to focus on your speech and your very tightly disciplined message about the economy, what's the last thing in the world you do? You gaggle on Air Force One on the flight up, which he did. And there's some quotes coming out of that. So that happened. And then finally, Robert reports, I don't read the chat, but I glance at it. Robert reports that Secretary Bessent's working the crowd. Robert, thank you for joining us. Robert's at the event. Great community member. Robert, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear us with that Bessent mania all around you. Are you able to hear us, or are you just going to show us some of the crowd there?
You know how loud these things are, Mark. I feel like one of you guys on the convention floor, whatever it is. I don't even know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Can
You're
you
doing
hear
great.
me?
You're doing great. As we say in Anchorville, Robert, what's the mood like there?
It's electric. Everybody's on their feet. They've been on their feet for an hour and a half, 2 hours here. We had Energy Secretary. We had Scott Bessent. Also, he's working the floor right now. Congressman. I mean, I've never seen a rollout like this in a midterm.
Yeah, Robert, how far are you away from where the president's going to be speaking?
I would have to say probably 70 feet.
70 feet. That's pretty good. Are you a VIP or you got there early, or how'd you do that?
I was invited by my Congressman Ryan McKenzie because of all the work that we do for him through our Keystone Forge PAC and such. So, but yeah, and they wanted me to stand back here because they told me I was good looking and charming.
Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you for being here. Stay with us, and when the president comes out, maybe you'll get an interview for us. It'll be the first
I'll see what I can do,
community
Mark.
member interview. Thank you for that. Oops, cut him off. All right, he'll stay with us. Again, if you want to get in the conversation, please raise your hand. The president hopefully will be here soon. We'll get to cover at least some of his remarks. All right, we did Zelensky. We did that. 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 That one I don't even understand. Okay, this is funny. I like this one. This is number 19. This is from the president's interview with Politico, Dasha Burns. It's a little media oriented, but you folks like the media, or at least talking about the media. Here we go, number 19.
Rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it. Why would I talk to you, an extremely unfriendly publication, if you want to call it Politico, that got $8 million from Obama to keep it afloat? Why would I do that? Why would I talk about that to Politico? I mean, I'm doing this because you picked me as a man for Europe.
I'm asking for transparency for their American people, because a lot of folks are, people are wondering
I am the most transparent politician maybe in the world.
A lot of folks are wondering what our goals are in
Venezuela. But I don't want to talk to you about military strategy.
So the minute I saw that Politico is naming Donald Trump the most influential person in Europe, they do like an annual list, and it's normally a European. The minute I saw that, I said, he's going to do an interview with them because he's going to feel like he's honored. And it was brilliant for them. And then not only did they get a long interview, but they wrote like 17 pieces off of it, and it's getting pickup everywhere. And again, Dasha did a great job. Matt, if you were working in the White House comms office and they said, Mr. President, you were being named the most influential person in Europe by Politico, and Dasha Burns would like an interview, and he turned to you and said, Matt, should I do it? What would you have said?
Absolutely. First off, Dasha's pretty fair. I think that the campaign team felt like she went out of her way to be fair, even though I think Politico took a lot of punches from the president and from Republicans over the last few years. But also, I do think, as we talk about Ukraine and Europe and all these different dynamics, Europe is doing a lot of really dumb things outside of just the general tariff conversation. When you look at some of these, Digital Market Act taxes and fines, like the fine they just dropped on X, or things they're trying to do to all these American companies, while at the same time trying to say, America, please give more money to our defense, things like that. It is very unstrategic. And so it makes sense that the president has, some broadsides to drop there in an interview like this. And I just can't totally figure out what a lot of these European leaders are trying to do. Either they haven't figured out working with President Trump, or they feel like they get more support at home by taking a hard line and trying to extract money from Elon Musk and Twitter. I don't know. It just, to me, feels so unstrategic. And so giving the president the opportunity to lay all that out in a long form interview like this, why not? He gets is credit for it at home.
Yeah, Michael, you and I have a long and complicated history discussing Joe Biden's cognitive decline and how the White House dealt with the media. In his entire 4 years in office, the President Biden didn't do an interview like that. Not one in 4 years.
I mean, I could go on forever. I mean, I was going to bring up actually was that we'll know whether he's transparent, probably in the future about things, but he is the most accessible president in history.
Yeah.
He deserves tremendous credit, not only for just the frequency from which he communicates with the American people several times a day, like you said, on the plane, on the tarmac, going home. It's nonstop. Biden never, not once, spoke to the press on Air Force One. He did one off the record, one, and he yelled at somebody, but like once. And if you were to, I can't even tell you like the amount of, like I probably would have been fired had I suggested bringing the press into his cabin on Air Force One.
Yeah.
They did not view, the Biden people viewed those spaces as somehow like just super off limits to the press, privacy things. And
yeah,
he invites you into the presidency.
Yeah.
He's taking the people of the country with him everywhere he goes.
Yeah, it's so funny to me because look, the president says things that aren't true. He says things that are inconsistent. He trails off. He's been doing this, ladies and gentlemen, for 40 years. And we're in another period where I get texts and emails every day from people saying he's lost his mind. He's completely, he's got dementia. He's horrible. You may not agree with what he said in that 45-minute interview with Dasha Burns, but he's answering questions. He's
the time.
He's giving responses. But I'm saying it's not just the frequency. He's giving what passes for Donald Trump for substantive answers to these questions. It's quite something. All right, we're still waiting for the president to speak. I'm going to sneak in one more sponsor, and then Wallace will get you in. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The last sponsor of the night is our good friends at CB Distillery. Now more than ever, holidays upon us. You need rest. You need relaxation. You need a good mood, and you need, if you've been exercising, you need some recovery from that. That's why I'm sharing to you the ultimate holiday survival plan. The products from CB Distillery, they could work for you, for your family members. The product is made with premium quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, nothing artificial, just what over 2 million customers have bought. 100% money back guarantee. It's a gift you can feel good about giving. Give it to yourself, give it to everyone on your list. Better sleep, less stress, pain relief from the products of CB Distillery, CBD products. Use my promo code TWOWAY, save 25%. 25% off your entire purchase. Visit cbdistillery.com, enter the promo code TWOWAY for 25% off. Again, ladies and gentlemen, cbdistillery.com, cbdistillery.com. Thank you for your attention to that matter. Still no president. Let's go to Wallace. Wallace, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Matt and for Michael.
Hi, Mark. Wally Wood. At any rate, I've got, Mark, I had more of a specific question for you. Sorry to be a little bit off topic what you guys are talking about, but a while back I listened to one of your next ups about Barry Weiss, and I just wanted to get your take, maybe how she's doing so far in your eyes with trying to transform CBS or in there. I'll leave it at that as far as the question, just what you think of what she's doing now and how you see it moving forward.
Yeah, I'll let my guests answer first if they've got a point of view, and then I'm happy to. Michael, Matt, have you guys been following that? Do you have a point of view about how Barry's doing?
I think she's doing great. She's landing big. Sorry, Matt.
No, you go first.
I think she's trying to return, CBS back to just journalism, just straight journalism. And she's, bringing on some high profile guests as a way to sort of launch. But I don't really have a ton of complaints either way, except that I think she was brought in to really curb sort of the editorial freedoms they may have been taking.
I think that everything Michael said, I agree with. I think she's trying to turn around a giant cruise ship, which is a difficult thing. It's a giant organization, but I think she's doing great. You also can tell by the way that's been reported, she is a very media savvy person. She called a lot of shots on who they were trying to hire and bring in so that people would understand exactly the type of ideological balance that she was trying to strike. They made some pretty big maneuvers around trying to bring in some Fox talent to show that they wanted to bring in some conservative voices. I think that was a smart move. And I think that the stories that have been written about her challenges to specific staffs about their ideological balance, their reputation, has shown what she's been trying to do. So now it will be sort of watch and see what she can do putting into practice, because a lot of it's been more about trying to send smoke signals and messages.
Yeah, very well said. I agree with what both of them said. So Barry did a panel with Ben Shapiro and Dan Senor a couple weeks ago, and it didn't get as much attention as I thought it would. And she said, I want to have a realistic, I'm not trying to have just straight down the middle reporters, because that's not the way the world works now. I want to have a third liberal, a third conservative, a third independent reporters, and create a dialogue, a conversation. And the free press, of course, continues to be up and running and do great work. And I think that continues to be the editorial model that Barry's trying to do. it is very difficult. 60 Minutes, it continues to be biased. It just does. And I'm not sure what Barry's point of view on that is. It's a big, long process. And of course, now it's complicated by the fact that she might be running CNN, although that's not going to happen anytime soon, if ever. I'll say this. If I don't know David Ellison, but if the things he's saying are true, I think Barry has a great benefactor there, a great boss, because what he's saying is we need strong, vibrant, trusted news organizations. And I now own a big one, David Ellison saying, and I want it to be great. I want it to be respected by the 70% of the people in this country who don't want only to hear news that they agree with and opinion that they agree with. So that's a two-way model, right? We think this community welcomes, not all of you. Some of you like to put smack in the chat and send me emails that say, please stop putting on people I disagree with, which again makes me crazy because that's what we do here. But if Barry continues to do this, she's in a position to make CBS something that doesn't exist. The independence and freedom and honesty and all voices under one roof, with the massive reach of bureaus around the world and shows on broadcasts that still reach a lot of people. So way too soon to write a report card about Barry, but everything I've seen so far is quite positive, and she's got a long road ahead of her, and it seems support from her billionaire boss. Wallace, thank you.
So, Mark,
yes, sir.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that I'm one that I'm rooting for her to be successful. I think there's many of us that want a news organization to go to where we feel like we're going to get more straight, not just straight news, but fair and balanced. And it goes, I think, for when we're here. It's for me personally. If one of your guests reflexively wants to talk with talking points, just very political talking points, it makes it harder for me personally to try and hear their point of view and try and analyze it and give them a fair shake.
Yes,
so
sir.
Anyway, I'm rooting for Barry Weiss. Thanks for calling.
Sir. I am too. Well, thank you. So the president, Moore's coming out about his gaggle, and he got a question, which is one of my favorite things, asking politicians about gambling. Some of them really don't like it. I remember I once asked Jean Shaheen a question about gambling, and she looked at me like she was going to kill me. It just makes them uncomfortable for whatever reason, but not Donald Trump, of course, because he's been in the gambling business. So he was asked by a reporter, and stay tuned for the identity of the reporter, on Air Force One and the gaggle, would he consider a no tax on gambling winnings? What could be more popular, right? And the president said, quote, I haven't been asked that in a while. Guess who the reporter was? It was Brian Glenn, who I don't know if he still dates Marjorie Taylor Greene, but people have been wondering how Brian Glenn, who up until recently at least has been Marjorie Taylor Greene's significant other. Some people call her Marjorie Trader Brown, as you know, but I call her Marjorie Taylor Greene. Whether Brian Glenn would still, get called on and be in the pool and everything else, and apparently he was on the pool up to the event. The president is still. Do you have the video, Noah, of the person in the bathroom? Do you have that? I don't know. Anyway, something funny happened on Air Force One. Fox says
I have him. Haven't gotten he gave a birthday coin to the pilot.
Birthday coin to the pilot. I can live without that. Anyway, Fox touting the president's speech, which was supposed to start almost an hour ago, is in their chyrons using one of my favorite cable news words: soon, Trump delivers economic remarks. Soon. That could be a half an hour from now, folks. We had thought we would face the critical and tough decision of what to do during this hour if the president were speaking, if he started on time. And one of my colleagues texted me and said, your show will long be over before the president starts. And that person turned out to be Nostradamus, because we're going to go off the air now with the president having not even begun. Here's the good news. Tomorrow on the morning meeting, we'll have full coverage. We'll be joined by two great guest co-hosts. Stay tuned and tune in to see who's going to join us. And we'll probably be talking about what he said tonight, tomorrow, in 23 hours, because this is, as Bill Clinton would say, a big deal. A big deal. Finally, Matt, what will the headline in the New York Times story about the president's speech say? Go.
Trump takes affordability fight head on after calling it, what did he call it? Not a scam.
Hoax.
Hoax, after calling it a hoax, which, again, as a Republican, still a win. He's taking it on.
Okay. Michael, what would the New York Times headline be?
Something to the effect of Trump veers off affordability script and, does the Trump show, something like that. I just can't imagine Trump going there and not performing.
Yeah. All right. What percentage of the speech, Matt, will be about the economy? It's his first rally in a long time, so he's going to be inclined to talk about Hillary
the greatest
Clinton,
hits. We're going to get the greatest hits.
I think. Will 50% be about the economy?
No, I think 43% is the economy.
Michael, over under 43%.
Oh, I was going to go with like 15 to 20%.
No, he'll be on prompter for some of it.
Really?
Some.
Yeah.
He stays on prompter?
We're going to get some weaving, and it's going to be fun.
Like that, it's going to be.
I think there's going to be Biden immigration stuff, Biden senality stuff.
Yeah. Kamala. I call her Kamala. He's going to
talk about the margins in Pennsylvania that he won by.
Newscomb.
I think we get 15 minutes on the margins in Pennsylvania, which, to be fair, he and Dave McCormick feel pretty good about that.
All right, final question.
Still less votes than Joe Biden, but that's okay.
Final over under 85 minutes of content. Over under 85 minutes. Matt.
Ooh, I think under. I think there's a lot going on this week. I think he probably is closer to 65, 70 minutes.
Okay. Michael, over under 85 minutes.
I'm going to say over. That's only an hour and 10 minutes. He goes longer than that, yeah.
Well, no, it's not an hour and 10 minutes. It's an hour and 25 minutes.
25 minutes, sorry.
But
I think he's going to go longer than that.
You were thinking mine was about an hour and 10 minutes, my prediction.
The correct answer was over. Matt Whitlock. Michael LaRosa, sorry. Thank you both for being here. Delighted to have you. Just a great night to have you as we vamped for the entire hour, expecting a presidential address and just getting bupkis, as we say in Pennsylvania. Very glad to have you both here. Matt, tell everybody once again about the podcast, please.
10-minute drill. You can find it Twitter, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, 10-minute drill, the number 10, or 10minutedrill.com. And we do a lot of fun shows twice a week. And thank you, Mark.
Michael, anything you want to plug? Ballard Partners or?
Nope, no plugging for me. All good.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. Everybody, I'll see you at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow on the morning meeting. Thank you for being here. Have a great night.